Hi guys, I am so excited about teaching this class today. And today what we're going to be doing, we're going to be talking about the design concept positive and negative space. Once you start thinking about positive and negative space, when you do your art, you can really start using it to enhance a certain feeling that your artwork may have. So I want to show you some examples. So we see there's lots of white space here, right? And we see this tiny little chick peeking around the corner, and he's kind of afraid, right? So he peeks around the corner and he's like, okay, because he doesn't know where his mom is. And there's a ton of white space, and what this is called is negative space. So when we make a drawing, like any space where the drawing is actually positioned is called positive space. And then the rest, the white space, is called negative space. And what this helps do by having so much negative space, I really wanted to emphasize this feeling that he has, right? He's really scared. And by having all this negative space around him, it makes him feel even smaller. Because if I'd made the positive space larger, if I'd made him larger, he would not have felt so small. And by making him feel so small, it really adds to the emotion that he expresses here. Now, let me show you a different example. All of where the actual artwork is called positive space. So all these buildings, all these cars, all these bicycles, everything is also called the positive space. So the only negative space in this artwork is the sky up here, right? Which is also where the text is. So there is really very little amount of negative space and a ton of positive space. So another idea I want to introduce before we move on to our exercise is is actually two ideas. One is an idea of symmetry. If I look at this, this is also from a book I illustrated called Sleep Baby Sleep. These are butterflies. And if you look at this particular butterfly over here, if I were to draw a line through it, then both sides, like the butterfly's left side and the right side, are somewhat similar. I mean, they're not identical, but they're identical enough to where in art we would call them symmetrical. A symmetrical shape means that if the left side and the right side are mostly the same, that means that they are symmetrical, and that's what we call symmetry. And then the last concept I wanted to introduce before we move on is the idea of contrast. The idea of contrast is basically difference. So there's a difference between the background, which again is the negative space, and the foreground, which is the positive space. And there's also contrast, right? Here, this is white and that's blue. So there's quite a bit of contrast between those two. But there's even contrast between these two. We know that this yellow, orangey is a beautiful warm color, and blue is a cool color. So there's quite a bit of contrast between those two. So contrast is basically a fancy word for difference, like it's a different color. So here are the things we're going to be needing. So some of you may have these handy, but I'm guessing that quite a few of you might need to go on a scavenger hunt to get them. So first off, we will need 2 pieces of paper, and they will have to be contrasting colors. So 2 different colors. And one of them can absolutely be white. So if you just want to take a computer, a page from a printer, just printer paper, that is just fine. For the other one, you can, use maybe construction paper if you have it. If you don't have construction paper, then you could also just use, a grocery bag that you've cut out. Like maybe you can just cut out the inside and use that. That will provide nice contrast with either a white sheet. Then we will need a pair of scissors. We will need an eraser and a pencil. We will need a glue stick. Now, you can ask the help of a grown-up to help you cut. Because if you're not used to using scissors, then I think it's probably a good idea, to ask a grown-up in your house to help you do the cutting. So what we're going to do first is, if you have two pieces of paper and they're different types of paper, I would pick the thickest one, the stiffest one as the background, and the thinnest one as the one that we're going to cut. They might be the same thickness, but if there's a difference, then that's how I would do it. So one is a little bit easier to cut. So then we're going to take the thinnest piece of paper, and we're going to fold it in half, just like that, and open it up again. So if you fold your piece in half, then you will know exactly what the middle is of the paper, right? And then once we know what the middle is, we're just going to take our scissors and we're going to carefully cut it right through the fold. So once we've done that, we have two identical pieces of paper. And what we're going to do is we're going to put one away because we don't need it right now, and we're just going to focus on the other one. Now, when I teach, I like to give a little sneak preview of what we're going to be doing so you actually know what we're working towards. And this is what we're going to be making. So this is a butterfly. And as you see, it's a butterfly is a perfect example of a symmetrical shape. Its left is identical to its right. So that's why we call it symmetrical. And we're going to be working with positive and negative space using contrasting colors. So now that you've had a sneak peek, I'm going to actually move this away and we're going to get started. So what I'm going to start doing is we're going to start with our pencil and we're going to draw half of a butterfly. So first I'm going to start by drawing the body of the butterfly. So I draw its head, and then I go in for its neck, and then I go out again, and I make its body. So I'm just doing half. If I were to draw the whole thing, I would continue over here, but I'm not going to do that because I really only want to draw half of it. So now we're going to draw the antenna. And we don't want to make the antenna too thin because we will be cutting out the antenna. And if we make it too thin, then it's going to really be prone to falling off or tearing. So we want to give it a little bit of thickness, a little bit more thickness than an actual butterfly antenna. And now we're going to do the butterfly's beautiful wings. So just make the top of the wing goes usually all the way to the corner, right? And then we go back to the body. So that's the top wing. And then the bottom wing, we're just going to go like this. And again, go towards the corner of the page and go back. And you know what? The great thing about butterflies is that they all look different and they all have like different shapes of wings. And there are no butterflies there that are exactly the same. So if your drawing looks different from mine, then that is absolutely okay. So once we have done the wings, we're actually going to add some beautiful like imagery to the wings. And again, I'm just doing it one way. You guys can do it any other way you like. So I'm going to draw a circle here, and then I'm going to draw a shape like this over here. But you can use your imagination. If you want to do different types of shapes within the wing, then go for it. I'm doing another circle here in the bottom wing. So now I have my entire half butterfly is finished, right? So it's one half of a butterfly. I am going to now take my scissors. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start cutting out in the lines. And for most of you, these will be pencil lines, not marker lines. And I want you guys to be careful to stay on the lines because we're going to be using all pieces of this. We're not going to be throwing anything away. So what I would usually do if I was throwing some away, I might like go straight but I'm not going to, I'm just going to be very careful to stay right on top of the line that I've drawn, in the knowledge that I'm going to be using both sides. I'm going to be using both my positive space and my negative space. So I am cutting this out, and you can just take all the time you need for this because it's a little bit of a precise job. So just go as slow as you want to. So now we have the butterfly and the positive space and the negative space, right? This is the positive space, this is the negative space. So now what we're going to do is we're going to flip this around. So the negative space is reversed and becomes the positive space on the left side of the page. Like, how cool is that, right? But we're not done yet because we're also going to be cutting out the shapes. Now, this is a little bit trickier with a scissor, but what I like to do is, for instance, if I'm going to be cutting out this circle over here, I'm just going to bend my piece of paper. I'm not going to fold it all the way because then I will have a fold line. I'm just going to bend it, and then I put, with my scissor, just put a little snip there, and then I can open it, and then I can stick my scissor into the snip and just go all the way around like so. What you do is you grab the butterfly wing, and what you do is you kind of fold it or bend it like this. So, because of course you cannot cut it like that, right? Because then we would actually break the wing. So we're going to fold it a little bit like this so that the fold intersects with the line that we need to cut, just like that. And then we take our scissors, and just with the very tip of the scissors, we give it a little snip, just like that. And then when we unfold it, there's like a little thing in it. And you see what I did? I even managed to kind of cut it this way. So, but you know what? That happens to, that can happen to anyone. And when that happens, that's totally okay, because once it's all glued down, you won't even be able to tell. So if you do accidentally like snip beside it, or maybe you accidentally do snip all the way to the edge of the paper, not to worry at all. You can just keep going. And we're just going to keep cutting them out. And every time we cut out a shape, we reverse it, we turn it upside down, and we place it. I'm just going to keep going. So keep cutting out all the shapes that you've drawn, and do what I've done here. So every time you've cut out a shape, position the butterfly, decide where it goes on the other side, and then when you've cut out every single shape and you put it down on the page and you're happy with the positioning, just take a little pick and start gluing them down. So you can just glue them, using a glue stick like this. And once all the shapes are glued down, you will have something like this. If you did use pencil lines, you can then take an eraser and erase the pencil lines. If you did not, then that's totally okay. And you could then do sort of what I've done, which is maybe you do the same shape in two different colors, and so that kind of adds another dimension to it. Or you can take another shape that's symmetrical. We've chosen a butterfly, but there is, in nature and around us, there are so many shapes that are symmetrical. Think about a tree or a bird, even a human being. We're symmetrical, right? Our right and our left sides are mostly alike. So if you want to give it a try, you can take another shape altogether and do this same thing and try to see if you can start playing with this kind of reversal of positive and negative space.
Now, if you like that video, make sure you hit the like button to help us grow the YouTube channel, and hit the subscribe button to make sure that you get notified for future videos. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.